Let's take a look at Hinduism as part of our exploration of world religions. Just keep in mind this is a very basic PowerPoint on Hinduism, and it will not cover every aspect of the religion, but just the basic things that you'll need to understand to be able to compare this religion with the other religions that we've studied. Okay, the basic beliefs of Hinduism begin with the fact that it originated 5,000 years ago. As a result, that makes Hinduism the world's oldest religion. It predates Christianity by almost 3,000 years. So it's been around for a long time. Also, it has no single founder or formal church. Right? So there you go, no single founder. So just like what we've seen with Christianity has a founder and Islam has a founder, and so doesn't Judaism, in this case there's no single person that we can attribute Hinduism to. And also there's no formal church. Although there are Hindu temples, they're not all united as a single church, say like the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, they also have sacred texts, one of which is the Vedas. The Vedas contains hymns, legends, and religious rituals. So these are some of the oldest of the texts that come from Hinduism. There's also the Upanishads, and the Upanishads are a philosophical description of the universe. So both the Vedas and the Upanishads are a lot like the religious texts that we've seen from other religions. For instance, for Christianity, you have both the Old Testament and the New Testament. And in this case here, what we have, the Vedas are the things that tell Hindus about their past, where they come from, and many of the practices that they had to perform. And the Upanishads gives them sort of a description of what the universe is all about. So there's sort of where you're going sort of aspect of the religion. Okay, also if you look at Hinduism, it appears to be polytheistic. There are many gods in Hinduism, depending on which version of Hinduism that you actually practice. And they also believe in the concept of the unity of all life. And why that's important is that if you believe that all life is unified or interconnected in some ways, it's going to promote a sense of nonviolence. And also people would have more respect for nature. So again, if you think all living things are interconnected, you're less likely to be violent towards them. And also you'll be less likely to be violent to the natural world if you think that you're also connected to the natural world itself. Okay, let's take a look at this concept then of what's known as Brahman. Now, be careful. There are a lot of words in Hinduism that sound very similar. For instance, Brahman is very similar to Brahma. I mean, we don't want to get them mixed up. What Brahman is, it's a single supreme force. Now, this force is present in all living things. So Brahman is present in all living things. It's also nameless, it's formless, and it's unlimited. So it doesn't have a name, it doesn't have a shape, and it's everywhere. So it's unlimited in where it can be located. And it's also made up of the many gods of Hinduism. So yes, Hinduism appears to be polytheistic, but all the different gods of the Hindu belief are actually part of Brahman, which is a single supreme force. Alright, here's an image from a film that you may be familiar with. It's one of the Star Wars movies, and this will help you understand the concept of Brahman. In this case here we have Luke Skywalker on the left, and he's getting some advice from his Jedi Master Yoda on the right, and he's basically telling him to feel the Force, Luke. So if you understand the concept of the Force as is portrayed in the Star Wars films, then you'll have a pretty good idea of what Brahman is all about. You know, I guess a force links all living things, it's everywhere, it's limitless, it's formless, it doesn't have really a name to it, but it's basically everywhere. So again, this concept that you see in a film is very similar to the concept of Brahman that's practiced by Hindus. Alright, so let's take a look at the three primary gods of Hinduism. And the first one we have here is Brahma. Because remember, don't get Brahma mixed up with Brahman. Brahma is the creator of the universe. That's his title. He is the creator of the universe. He's indestructible, he's the supreme ruler, and he's the source of all knowledge. Okay, so he can't be destroyed. He's powerful in terms of his supreme rulership, and again, he knows everything. This is Vishnu. Vishnu is the preserver of all existence. Okay, so Brahma creates, Vishnu preserves. And then the last one that we have here is Shiva. Shiva is the destroyer of the universe. Now, he has to destroy the universe so that it can be reborn again. And as we'll see in a moment here, Hindus believe in reincarnation. But remember, Brahma can't create unless he has something to create. So Shiva plays an important role. He destroys so that Brahma can create. And then Vishnu preserves, and then Shiva destroys. So there's a cycle to that process between these three gods as well. Okay, let's take a look at this. Monotheism versus polytheism. is Hinduism a monotheistic or a polytheistic belief system? That's the question that we want to take a look at. And at first appearance, it would appear that Hinduism is polytheistic, right? We've got Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer. And clearly 3 is more than 1, therefore it's going to be poly, not mono, right? But keep this in mind too. From our own perspective, these are similar titles. So for instance, God is the creator, Jesus is the preserver, and Satan might be the destroyer. So we don't consider ourselves to be polytheistic. Again, we believe in one God, therefore it's monotheistic. But this raises the issue that if we look at Hinduism, we have to question whether it's really polytheistic or monotheistic. Now, if we take a look at this, you'll see that, again, Brahman is a single supreme force. It's made up of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and all the other gods of Hinduism. But from the perspective of a Hindu, this is one thing, right? Brahman is a single supreme force. On the other hand, if we look at Christianity, the concept of God, God is a single supreme force. But many Christians also believe in the Trinity, right? The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. And the Catholic Church, long ago, determined that this was essentially one thing, that they're all the concept of God. But just keep in mind that through the eyes of a Hindu, Christianity might look polytheistic, whereas through the eyes of a Christian, Hinduism might look polytheistic. So, but from the perspective of both participants within their own religion, they may see their belief system as monotheistic. So again, we just want to keep an open mind and try to view different religious beliefs from the viewpoint of people that actually practice that religion. Okay, what else do Hindus actually believe? Well, they believe in reincarnation. And reincarnation is the rebirth of the soul in another bodily form. Now keep this in mind. This has nothing to do with coming back in the same body. This is a rebirth of the soul. It's not that you physically come back as the person that you were in your previous life. Now, in order to free your soul from your body, you want to achieve what's called moksha, and that will allow you to free the soul, and then you can unite with Brahman. So the goal of every Hindu is to free their soul from their physical self. The physical self is irrelevant, so that they can unite and become one with Brahman, and that concept is known as moksha. All right, now keep this in mind. It takes many lifetimes. This isn't something that's going to happen within one lifetime, maybe not even hundreds of lifetimes. It may take thousands or tens of thousands of lifetimes to be able to achieve moksha. They also have to perform what's known as dharma. Now, dharma are your special moral duties. Now, if you perform your dharma in this life, then you're going to be reborn at a higher level. But if you don't perform your dharma, then you're going to be reborn at a lower level. So if you do your dharma, you'll come back higher on the ladder of reincarnation, and if you don't, you'll have to go down a few steps and maybe even have to start over. Now, what determines this is known as your karma. Now, karma is based on actions in a previous life. You can have good karma or you can have bad karma. So here's an example. A farmer sits intently at a gambling table, his grain harvest nearby, pondering a wager which would make him rich or risk his family's wealth. He knows he's responsible for his karmas, good and bad, and Shiva silently witnesses all his actions and reactions, so Shiva's watching him. So in this case here, this guy's probably not going to get good karma. He's taking a risk. He's gambling with his family's livelihood, with their food. Yes, sure, he might become rich if he wins, but if he loses, he could lose everything. That's really not being sort of good, moral, and ethical. And as a result, this guy would probably end up with bad karma. And in his next life, he would come back at a lesser level than he currently is at. Here's another example. The laws of karma. It's neutral, like the grains in the man's pouch. One lady puts out grain for hungry crows. Seeing a beggar's pleading tears, a man hoards his grain, bringing tears to his own eyes as well. And another man caught stealing grain lands in jail. So again, the old woman perhaps is getting good karma because she's feeding crows, realizing that all life is interconnected. The other guy hoards his, doesn't give his grain out, doesn't help those that can't help themselves. And of course, another man is stealing. So some of these people are going to end up with good karma, some of them are going to end up with bad karma, depending on their moral and ethical behavior. But very simply, that if you do your dharma, you'll get good karma, and if you don't do your dharma, you won't, and then you won't be able to be reborn. You'll never achieve moksha. You'll never separate your soul from its physical body, which is the ultimate goal of every Hindu.